Actually, I'm happy about it, the way it's getting in, right? It's not final yet.
Yeah.
But it's there. It has a few firm paragraphs that seem to be sticking over all the negotiation time. And what I think is good is it's an improvement over the 1992 version, which focused largely on environment and watershed services. So now we see the role of people, the issues of climate change and biodiversity more central to the document. So I think that's been a plus. It was important for the mountain community really getting those statements in. But let's keep our fingers crossed that it really does stay in over the next few days of negotiation.
What more would you like to see there?
Well, I think what more is we have our foothold there with what's in the text. So what's more important is what we do as a mountain community with the text as far as actions after the Rio Plus 20 conference. And I think that's the important part, and in fact why we're having the meetings here in the Mountain Pavilion is more to say what actions do we need to do to make sure that the good things we wish for in that document become a reality. That takes a lot of work.
So, in what way do you think this conference will help? And will it help you get more funding, more projects for work?
Yeah, I think more important than for me, for the mountain people, is we can get recognition that mountains are a global resource. They're important, for example, for water, for timber, for mountain people, for ecosystems. That we get more resources, more attention going to mountains, and especially to address issues of mountain poverty, of mountain women, of the different ethnic groups who really struggle with issues of climate change. So if we can get more resources going to them, I think we can really make a difference in the world.
Will it help you, like as an ICIMOD, to do a lot of work in transboundary water issues, environment issues, biodiversity issues? Will it help you address those?
And certainly it helps an institute like ICIMOD and others play their role in helping mountain communities. We're basically a service provider, but if we get a green light from Rio Plus 20 that yes, mountain issues are important, that we need regional cooperation, that definitely helps. It makes our job easier.
So it will help you get countries together to cooperate on it.
Yes, it does. We can come back and refer to the Rio document and refer that the international community has affirmed that those are important things to do. And you hit it right. Some of these issues are very transboundary in nature, and it's something we have to deal with. And transboundary issues are difficult to deal with, but I think if we can take some steps in that direction to solve some problems, like water resources, I think we'll make a big advance.
And how will it affect in the Andes, the Condesan? Will it help the Condesan? Will it help more transboundary cooperation in the Andes?
I'm of course more familiar with the Himalayan region, but I can surely imagine in the Andes too, a lot of the problems are very similar with the glaciers melting. People directly dependent on glacier melt that's so strong in the Andes, and a lot of upstream and downstream considerations. It might be in the same country, some are transboundary issues. But still, even within countries, it's important to get the people who rely on the water resources in the plains to recognize the role of mountains and compensate mountain people for that.
Is there a lot of value? Is there a place for closer cooperation between the think tanks and the NGOs in the various mountain regions of the world?
Of course. I think our role, in a sense, at ICIMOD is kind of like a think tank, but we're not doing our job just thinking in the corner, right? We have to get out and communicate with a whole range of players, from NGOs, from government actors to the communities. So somehow we have to get that message out. So there's certainly a role, a partnership role with different people playing different parts of the game that we really need to highlight and move forward.
So here you have got this mountain pavilion up with the Andes group, with the Himalayan group, with the Alps group.
Sure.
So is this going to be the start of a sort of a new or a more strengthened cooperation between mountain countries?
I would say a more strengthened cooperation. We've had the mountain partnership since 10 years, where people get together on mountain issues. But what we're seeing now is definitely a more strengthened partnership where we really are holding hands, getting together on Mountain Pavilion. We're thankful to the Peruvian government for sponsoring this and really playing a role bringing the mountain people and countries together. And I think it is important that we all do act together. It's also important that we even learn lessons, right, from the Andes to the Himalayas to the Alps. We can all really learn from each other.
Talking about lessons, the European treaties on mountains, do you think there is a good reason to have similar things in Asia, in Latin America?
Yeah, I think ultimately that you might put that as a long-term viewpoint, that you have something like an Alpine Convention or Carpathian Convention. I think I kind of put that as a longer-term goal, where in the short term we're trying to get people to work together to solve some issues of communities, but maybe in the long term that could be a dream out there of getting that together. But I think we should put that as something in our minds that we're moving toward. I think it will be a little bit of time before that happens.
So ICIMOD, I know, is working in many areas of sustainable mountain development.
Yeah.
Would you like to prioritize some of them?
Yeah, sure. The first thing is just coming right from our vision and mission statement. We feel that the first priority is really to help the men, women, and children of mountain areas, right? The youth, the women, to work to improve their livelihoods in a sustainable environment. So the environment's important. The people, of course, are most important for me. But I think for ICIMOD, we work through knowledge. We feel that there is a role for knowledge for a think tank to get out and communicate. And we also work through regional cooperation. And for us, water is certainly a huge issue, ecosystem services, issues of livelihoods and governance, and are all big, as well as getting information and communicating that out to people.
Any of you have any questions?
Dr. Walden, how many countries are there in when you talk about the so-called mountain countries? How many actual countries are there?
I don't know the answer off the top of my head. But I will say you can think of two different kinds of countries. A country like Bhutan, right?
Yes.
Clearly a mountain country, Nepal. Then you have countries like India and China, where the mountains are important, but they're a small piece of this big country. And even with Indians, the mountain people are saying we need the Indian government to pay attention to our mountain. I mean, certainly probably so I can't give you the number, but there are some kind of two sets, clear mountain countries and other countries that have mountains. Yeah.
So are there priorities different for the countries that have mountains like India and all? Are there priorities different in the negotiations?
I'm sure they are, because so if you take
particularly when it comes to mountains.
Yeah, if you take a country like Bhutan, right? I mean, Bhutan is almost entirely, not entirely, but mostly mountains, right? So you're going to be so concerned about mountain issues.
Yes.
Whereas a country, let's take somebody else like U.S. that has mountains, that's not going to be first on their minds, right? There are certainly other issues. I think it's the same with India and China. So mountains may be important, but may not be their most important issues. Whereas I would say in Nepal, Bhutan, probably Ecuador, the mountains are quite a big thing. In your country, you're going to be paying a lot of attention to that.
It is good that India and China also now recognizing the role of mountain, in particularly India in 12th Five-Year Plan document that preparing that recognize the role of Indian Himalayan region in the whole national economy and environment.
Yeah, that's right.
Similar to China also.
Yeah, that's right. So people are in those countries paying attention.
Dr. Walden, I'm asking this question in particular context to Bhutan. Bhutan, there is a huge information gap when it comes to the mountains.
Yeah.
So is ICIMOD applying anything in that particular region?
Yeah, definitely. We definitely, ICIMOD is trying as hard as we can to fill that information gap, especially with, say, mountains, what's happening to the glaciers and snow, what even traditional knowledge. But remember, when we're talking about glaciers, sometimes we have to go up 5,000 meters, right? It's not an easy thing, but we're trying to say even with remote sensing through training glaciologists to get that kind of information. But it's not just about glaciers and snow, it's about also understanding the way traditional people are living and how that can help us move forward too. So we think there's a significant knowledge gap in the mountain region, and we try as hard as we can for Bhutan to help out there.
Any particular messages for Bhutanese readers? What would be some of the most important mountain priorities for a country like Bhutan? Actually, it would be the same like Nepal, but just for Bhutan.
Yeah. Well, I think in a way Bhutan is taking a leadership role in issues like green economy, right? Kind of promoting green growth, promoting the environment, and yet promoting development of people. And I think that pathway is one to keep, and actually one to share your lessons with the rest of the world. I think
global leader in green economic, green growth. The way Bhutan is conserving its nature, environment.
Yeah, but I think the message for Bhutan is in a way keep that up. Even gross national happiness, certainly a leader in that. But your forestry policy, I think the water resources, be careful. That you're staying environmentally friendly there. But I think it's share for Bhutan is a small country, but share your knowledge, about how you're doing things. I think it's a good message there.
Dr. Morgan, one final thing. What would be required in the outcome document to call this summit a success, particularly in mountain issues?
Well, on mountain, for me, getting those paragraphs in that focus on environment, on people, on sustainable development. If we get those in, I would be happy. I think the whole document, though, in different places should also respect or reflect the role of mountains. Say when we're talking about water issues, I hope that it's there, that they recognize the importance of mountains when they're talking about water or energy or ecosystem services or forests. So that would be nice if that was reflected in other places. But of course the whole document is important, and I hope that we do move forward from the 1992 perspective, especially with on ecosystems and livelihoods. And there's a little worry there.
I'm from Andes, so you can say for us like Himalayas and Andes have like the same goal, like the same troubles, problems.
Yeah.
Can we compare Himalayas and Andes?
I actually think there are many things that can be compared between the two. I mean, certainly just the big one is the snow and glacier melt in both the Himalayas and the Andes, and how people are coping with that. I think in both regions, downstream people benefit a lot from the water, the resources from mountains, and how to get that compensation from downstream people up to the mountains. I actually think in the Andes region there's a lot of lessons there that can be carried for the rest of the world. So I think there is a role of this global exchange of knowledge very much. I think that there's a role of, in both areas, the traditional and local knowledge is quite strong, and something that we really need to pay attention to when we're looking for solutions moving forward. And even then comparing those different solutions from different places.
One question for me. The thing is, what would, like right now, the developing nations are, like the G77 are specifically pushing for implementation policies of green economy, while the developed nations are obviously speaking about just getting a green economy. So my question for you would be, what is your ask in the two, between the two of them? Would you have any specific definitions for the green economy that people just touch upon, and would you like to define it?
Yeah, for me, broadly, when I think of green economy, I think of policies that give incentives, say, for mountain people to conserve ecosystem services, right? So things like the payment for environmental services, or the REDD+, right, where we're getting money to communities to have more carbon or have more carbon. So those are the things that need to get implemented. I think we have to remember that mountains, especially in Andes and Himalaya, mountain people are poor. Poverty is a key issue. And in a way, they're very green too, right? The economies are already green. So it's poor and green, so it's much different than being rich and not green and trying to get more green. It's kind of trying to keep the green and get out of poverty. So it is kind of an implementation, but in a smart, eco-friendly way is the real challenge.
Means of implementation and technology transfer also would be important for mountain region. And recognizing the value of mountain ecosystems.
Maybe one question, Dr. Morgan. The stand of BRICS countries when it comes to the green economy has not been really clear. In a sense that they really don't want to promote green economy per se. They are putting conditions. Whereas small countries like Nepal or Bhutan would completely go for green economy. So is it creating a divide among the G77 group? I mean the smaller countries, green countries, and the bigger developing countries. All of them are in the G77
I'm going to let
group.
my friend answer that one.
Okay. So here the issue is that particularly G77, they say that, as she mentioned, that we want means of implementation for green economy and green economy for promoting sustainable development, 3 pillars of sustainable development. So I think this is that there is no division. Both Nepal, Bhutan also want green economy, but they say that we need also means of implementation to implementing the green economy, as well as ultimate goal is sustainable development. Green economy as a means to achieve that development. So in this respect, I think both Nepal, Bhutan and G77 is quite close.
So there is no divide?
No divide. Even they are working together as a part of green G77, and both they are pursuing the agenda that green economy itself is not a goal, it's a means to achieving the sustainable development goal, both social, economic and environmental. And their focus is on inclusive growth, not only green growth, inclusive, social, environmental, human, all these issues. I think in this respect, both are together.
I think that one of the important points Ghulam Rasool mentioned at the end, what at least for our countries in the Himalayas, the inclusive part, the poverty part, the women and men part is so important in how we do this. It's not just green growth, it's growth that picks up people and all people that I think is what we need to make sure happens in these negotiations, is that part, the people and equity-centered part of the discussion.